There's a couple of philosophies when it comes to roasting coffee. Um, I learned from an expert, Larry Larson, a guy who runs a business called Larry's Coffee in Raleigh. And Larry's pretty well known. He's a fair trade, one of the fair trade pioneers in the coffee world. But I first roasted coffee on Maui, and my friend Eddie had a homemade roaster, and it was just a drum that was on a bicycle chain on an electric motor, and he had these gas flues, and he lit the flues, and he turned them on, and he poured his coffee in, and 7 to 9 minutes it came out, and it was dark and shiny. And so when I brought 2,000 pounds of Nicaraguan coffee to Maui, and I called Larry up and I said, "This is the roaster. What do I do?" And he said, "Well, first turn those flames down to where only blue is showing, and then when you get past the first crack, turn them down even more, because you want that roast not to be 7 to 9 minutes, but 14 to 20 minutes. Okay, slow cook." So what we do is we start off at our roaster at 400 degrees. We dump 25 pounds of coffee in. Because of the mass of the cold coffee, the temperature drops to about 185, 186, 187, and then it slowly starts climbing up. Our gas setting is a very low BTU to start with. And we see that gradual increase, and the coffee turns from a green color to a yellow color. At about 5 to 6 to 7 minutes, it's yellow. 8 to 9 minutes, we start noticing a cinnamon color. And about that time, it's from cinnamon to a light brown, we hear this first crack, and that's at about 385 degrees. And that's what's happening, is those fats and proteins inside the seed, that coffee bean, is actually changing into oil, and it's releasing CO2 gas. So you hear this crack, 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 crack. It's like popcorn, but crack sound. Then that totally disappears at 400 degrees. And it's at that point that we actually cut our gas setting in half, because we want the next 3 or 4 minutes to be really slow roasting. And so we'll see the temperatures creeping up to like 418, 19, and then we hear the second crack. And that second crack, now we know the coffee is fully developed, and now it's a matter, what flavor do we want to get out of it? For example, all of our Ethiopian coffees are world famous and well known for the flavors and tones that are right there at the onset of the first crack. Fruity, floral, berry tones that are so present in Ethiopian coffee. They're all there, right at 418, 19, 420 degrees. Our Honduran coffee from the Blue Mountains around Lake Yohoa has a distinct sweet lemon tone to it with a little bit of a peppery tone. And it's very present. So we dump our light roast Honduran at about 425 to 427 degrees. Same with our Nicaraguan light roast. It has a distinct orange, a kind of a sweet orange tone to it. And we dump that at about the same temperature. But you leave both of those two coffees in the roaster for another 3 minutes to about 440 degrees, and those citrus tones disappear to be replaced by these deep chocolate tones. It's amazing what God has put in a coffee bean, and our challenge as a roaster is to bring out those flavors. So we have basically decided with all of our coffees how we like them. Our Papua New Guinea, our Sumatra, and our Timor coffees, these are Pacific coffees that have some very distinctive cherry, caramel, earthy, almond, creamy tones to them. And we like them at a medium roast, 435 degrees. Our Honduran dark and light, we love those coffees. Our Colombian, we've tried it light roast, we've tried it dark, we like it as a medium roast. And we have one Ethiopian coffee, our Yerga Shefi, that we mistakenly left it in the roaster to about 430 degrees one day. We dumped it, and we realized that many of those floral fruity tones had disappeared, but there was a delicious mocha tone that had somehow just filled, and that our Ethiopian dark roast, which is really a medium roast, is a really nice coffee. So the roasting process is really important. And the one thing that we're fortunate, because the people that are picking the coffee are picking those cherries when they're red and ripe. I think the sweetness of that pulp actually imparts a natural sweetness to the seed, to those coffee beans. And when we roast it, you have this naturally sweet taste. You can adding sugar to our coffee, at least in my opinion. I mean, it takes away from the natural sweetness that's there. So we're really fortunate to be able to roast good coffee that way.